Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Motorsports Almanac. I think this is episode number 15, if we discuss it right. We are joined tonight by Mr.Les Korporal of the Corporal Punishment Team and Modern Machine and Tool. This is the go-home show to the National Farm Machinery Show for us. This time next week, we will be all in Freedom Hall, probably listening to the class that Mr. Corporal pulls in the modified class. Go down the track. Mr. Corporal, we know you're slammed. We appreciate you joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wyatt, it's time.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, everybody's starting to feel the excitement. It's starting to build. The adrenaline's starting to build for everybody. Preparation of each individual vehicle's done. Now it's just time to pack off and everybody head for the big city in Kentucky.
Yep.
Yeah. I cannot wait. I'm going up next Tuesday night. I will be there when the doors open on Wednesday. Mr. Corporal, how's the prep going with the modified, getting everything all freshened up and ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, we had a motor we hauled around as a spare all summer. We stuck it on the left front, so that gives us 3 pretty fresh motors to go to Louisville. We got our superchargers stripped and ready to go, and we were filling fuel jugs tonight and loading the trailer. So we had it running Saturday. We're ready to go.
That's always good to be that far ahead of time. I'm sure there are those select few that are kind of on the dyno, making sure everything's all tightened up and ready to go, and they've had some catastrophic failure, unfortunately, but they have time still to get it fixed.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mr. Corporal, just talk to us about your summer. I mean, you ran 2 classes all summer long. You were the champion, the light modified for the NTPA with the 2 engines, and then you were going and bolting on 3 for the modified class. Just kind of talk to us what all that looks like and how your summer went as a whole.
Yeah, well, like I said, they added that class last winter, and it was going to be 6,000 pounds, and I knew I'd be close on weight whether I could run or not. And then I don't know. I think in April or so they changed it up to 6,200, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll have some weight to play with. So me and my son and my daughter, we loaded up and went down to Benson, North Carolina. I'd never been down there. It was kind of a cool place if you've never been there before, and did real good. We got, I think, third the first night and 1 on the second night, and me and Shane talked before the show started. Kind of got hit a lucky gear setup, I think, right off the bat. I really liked the setup, and went from there. And we struggled a little bit early on in the 3-motor class, but by the time we got to Rockwell, we knew our 2-motor deal was, and we got a win there at Rockwell on the first night, and got a win at Bowling Green on the first night also, and kind of done the trick for us.
Yeah. So were you able to pinpoint exactly one thing when switching between the 2 setups that helped you more than the gears, you think?
I think probably in my case, the biggest thing that helped me last summer is it gave me a lot more hooks and give me a lot more time driving it. You know, I'm just started in 21, pulled region in 21, and pulled Grand National in 22. So it gave me a lot more hooks, 6 more hooks that I had the year before. And I felt like by the time the season got over with, I was a lot more comfortable in the seat than what I had been.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I don't think a lot of people understands how much time it really takes for us as drivers to learn our setups, no matter how long we've been in pulling. I mean, if you change one of the factors, I mean, you can change tires, gears, weights. I mean, just so many factors that we have to get comfortable with whenever it comes to the driving part. I mean, you and I were talking about that too. You said this is your 3rd year in the big mod class, but you've been pulling single engine mod from around, I think you said 2005. Kind of give us your history.
Yeah, I pulled garden tractors out of high school back in the early 80s. A good friend of mine, Farron Freeman, he helps me to this day wrench. Me and Farron pulled together, and then later on I pulled with my brother for several years, and pulled up until they started national quarter scale, and had a good finish 2nd place in the points the first year of that. And then I don't know, I seen kind of the money taken off in the garden tractors, so I thought, hey, I always want to pull big tractors. So in 2005 we built a single engine tractor, which is now a class they run in Indiana Pulling League, and we ran that until 2018. We won a couple points championships doing that, and like I told you earlier, saying I felt like I was getting up in my 50s. If I was going to pull Grand National, I better be doing it. So we built the tractor in 20, and then COVID happened, and we come out in 21, had a good region year, won the region and won the Anderley in the region, and then good friends with Doug Theobald, and he said, Les, you need to move up and pull Grand National. So in 22, then we pulled, finished third in the mod class in Grand National and finished sixth in Grand National last year.
You've certainly had a lot of early success in a short time.
Yeah.
But, I mean, what were some of the early struggles that you faced, I mean, coming in from 1 engine to 3?
It drives completely different. With the single engine tractor, it was just naturally aspirated motors that we turned a bunch of RPMs with it. So you had to hold even though we run a Crowler clutch in it, we held the pedal down and we had to rev it like kind of like a pro stock tractor. We'd rev it up real hard and then let out on the clutch. So usually we'd let out on the clutch about 6,500 to 7,000 RPMs, and we'd like to turn it about 9,000. So going from that to you just drove it out with the throttle. Now you just drive it out with the throttle, and you try not to drive it out too hard because you got a lot of horsepower in your hands. So, I tell people the 2-motor thing, it's not too bad to drive, but when you put that 3rd motor on there, it's a whole different animal then, and it's a lot of power, leaving the line. And I'm kind of getting myself calmed down. I was a little over anxious, I felt like, early on, and I'd come awful hard with it in the big mod class. So that leaving the line. And then I think the other thing is being ahead of it. If you wait to react, if it starts to go left or right and you wait for it to do that, you're going to be behind it. I feel like you kind of feel it starting to go one way or the other and get ahead of it before it gets away from you. So yeah, it's a completely different animal from the single engine tractor.
I mean, I've kind of learned that too as I've been driving, and Wyatt, I think you did too whenever you did your pass. The earlier you correct it, the more beneficial it's going to be later.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one thing you can't do is panic.
Right.
Have you had any of those hairy rides yet where you're kind of like, okay, I need to back off and kind of regroup here, or you've kind of just
I had a doozy. I was up at Hutchinson in 22 for the first mod hook of the year, and I had ran it in 3 motors at Bowling Green in 21. So then I decided to commit to Grand National. So we go to Hutchinson. The first night I take off, and it picks the front end up real high, and it goes to the right, and I was like, holy crap. This thing's all in the mail. So the next day I'm test hook, and all the pro stock tractors had went left, and I was going to try to go right. And about 225 feet, I thought, I got one tire on one side and I got one tire on the other side, and I thought, this isn't going to be good. I was holding the right brake pretty hard, and I took my foot off that right brake, and that thing just went bananas. It jumped up and down and threw me around in the seat. And yeah, it was pretty hairy. I look back on it this day, and they towed me off the track and around back to the starting line, and I don't remember any of that. So it was pretty crazy, but that was probably the worst ride I've had, and I feel like looking back on it now, I'm not I'm comfortable in the seat now. It's like I've caught up with it, and I can kind of get ahead of it. So early on in 22, it was kind of ahead of me all the time. I feel like I've kind of caught up with it a little bit now. Now, I will say I'm not real thrilled about heading to that wall at Louisville next week, but, it's part of it.
Yeah. We'll be right down there on the big end whenever you finish, for sure. We're right there next to the screen from your driver's side, just right there to the right is where we will be.
Well, I hope I get to look over at you.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you will. So talk to us about kind of what Farm Show means to you. And I know that's kind of been the common theme this week. I mean, the article that Ryan Rusing put out, if you guys have not seen that this week, go check that article out. It hits every beat of what Farm Show is all about and just what makes it the special type of pull that it is. Yeah,
I think for me, they've been doing it 50-some years. And, I've been going down there for probably better than 30 years. We drive down every Wednesday and watch the Wednesday night show, and sometimes we drive back down. It's about 3 hours for us. We would drive back down on Saturday and watch the finals. So, there's probably a lot of people out there watching this, right now that would think, man, I'll never get a chance to do that. And I was one of those guys. I'd sit up there and think, man, I'm never going to pull down here. I got a single engine mod in Indiana. That's as good as I'm going to do. And things in life has went the right way for me, and I've got a lot of good help around me. And for me going down there, I feel really fortunate to be able to do it, and I'm just going down there this year, and my goal is just to make a good run. If I make a good run and I get qualified, so much. If I don't, it's not a real big deal, but it's just the whole history of it, and everything's really cool.
No, this is your second year, right, down there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a fuel line come loose last year, and I think I went out there about 80 or 90 feet, and I seen that thing spraying fuel, and I thought, I'm just going to shut it off. It's not worth. I don't want to be the guy with the big fire at the farm show. So we just shut it off and took it home. So yeah, it was disappointing, but I'm gonna go down this year. I want to just make a good run and know that I can do it, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were there Wednesday night last year whenever they ran. I mean, we both looked at each other, was like, something's wrong somewhere, but unfortunately, it was too late, I think, for you to come back.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird deal too. It seems like for the mods anyhow, it's a tough place to pull. They've got a lot of weight in that sled, and it pulls hard. It really works the tractors, and you see guys have problems that normally guys don't have problems. So that's why I'm just looking to make a good clean run down there.
Yeah, you certainly got a stacked class to pull against too. So who are some of the guys that you? Not asking you to tell on your age or anything, but like who are some of your heroes whenever you were first getting into this crazy sport that we love?
Well, I probably a lot of people know me out there. We talked about this a lot, but I'm a cousin to the Banner brothers, so I grew up, my whole life. My dad pulled tractors. My cousin Brad that works. He's really the guru at the motorsports shop with these tractors and stuff. His dad and my dad pulled a tractor together, and then later on, Dad went off on his own, and then in the late '70s, he started pulling with Jack Tedder, who's Scott Tedder's dad, and my dad and Jack pulled together, and then I lost my dad in a farm accident in '84, so he's been gone 40 years this year. So my dad was my hero growing up, my dad and my uncle, and then, of course, Ralph and David and Ira and Mike and all them guys on that side. They all kind of grew up together, and that's quite a story too. And so, yeah, those were the best they were. So I had really good heroes to look to growing up. As far as pullers. So, yeah. But Jack. I did a lot of pulling with Jack Tedder back in the day, and he was quite a character. He was a lot of fun too. So
from the beginning, it was just modifieds, and that's wonderful.
Yeah,
I would say you've been in pretty good company for a good while.
Yeah. I could go on all day telling you stories about back in the old days. Jack Tedder and my dad and all those guys. Keith Theobald, he pulled with us. So yeah, pretty cool guys.
Yeah, why we know every one of those names, don't we?
Heck, one of my dad's first tire cutting machines come from the Banner brothers.
Oh, really? Wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, Ralph, he was still in it in 2010. He came in, and Brad had worked for Ira, Ralph's older brother, building $1 million houses for a long time. Brad is a heck of a carpenter on top of everything else. And Ira decided to retire, so Ralph came in and he said, "Hey, why don't you get Brad over here, and I'll give you a couple pieces of my old equipment. I want to retire." And that's kind of how Modern Motorsports got started.
Okay, so you have Modern Motorsports, and then you have Modern Machine.
Okay. Modern Machine started in '98, and we still do a lot of, our main business is industrial work. We build a lot of packaging equipment, a lot of special machinery products, just all kinds of crazy stuff. We're a job shop, so just any job that comes along, we do. We're building right now. A big thing we're building little hanger brackets to hang a facade on the side of a building. So it's just whatever comes along, we do. We have at Modern, we have about 22 guys doing that industrial type work, and now we've got 4 guys in the motorsports shop, just building, pulling trucks and tractors. And then I have another shop in Marion called Precision Tool and Die, and we have 5 guys in there, and it's more of a higher precision, bigger equipment type shop, and we do some automotive work in there and stuff.
Wow. So what kind of sparked your interest into building the chassis that we've been seeing so much of? I mean, we've seen the Theobalds, obviously, with theirs. Yeah. Just kind of talk to us about, like, what kind of sparked your interest in that.
Also, add to that, when did that start and what made you start it?
Yeah. So back in the earlier day, back in the 90s, Brad would work construction all day, and then he would go to Ralph's in the evening and help Ralph with the chassis. And he kind of learned how to build all the chassis and mount the engines and, planetaries and all that part of it. Well, at the same time, if Ralph got behind, he would come to me and I would build him clutch shafts, dry shafts, anything that would be a machined part, I would build and help Ralph out. So I'm helping Ralph during the day. Brad's helping him in the evening. So that's kind of what sparked Ralph back in the day to say, hey, why don't you guys get together and I'll hand this over to you. So, I always said modern motorsports is kind of the old Banner machine. We're still doing things a lot like Ralph come up with back in the day. And then Brad and Derek, my nephew, Derek Rawson, he does the engineering, and they've come up with, a lot of like the mini rod rear end, planetary rear end, and a lot of the newer stuff we've come up with, those guys have come up with in the last 14 years now.
So are you guys seeing a lot of change in the design side? Because, I know we've seen the various types with the Slaws, with them sitting more forward. Was there ever been kind of ideas float around like that you guys have had? Or if you're developing them, you don't have to reveal it if you are.
Well, we started out, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. The planetary end come over from, I think, from the Netherlands or somewhere. Those guys over there kind of came up with the first one, TRB. They came out with one, and I told Brad, I said, hey, I think this is something, we ought to look at getting in. The mini rod class was just really just starting to take off. And Derek and Brad put that planetary end together. So we started off, we were just going to build planetary ends and sell them and some driveline. And after we got that built, we kind of looked around and said, hey, why don't we just put some frame rails under this thing and, sell a complete package. So it started from there. We started out with kind of two options. You could sit a little farther back or you could sit a little farther forward. We really don't like getting any farther forward than what we're building them now, just for the safety part of it. Your feet are almost up against the clutch can the way it is. But anyhow, we started like that, and I think we want to build a couple of them with the roll cage back. Most of them have been built with the roll cage forward, even, like Chase Richardson's. He's a tall guy, and he can still fit in there and race it. So it's really just a one chassis setup, and we've kind of come up with our own air ride front end on them now. And so we're all trying to come up with a little something different, and we got some stuff in the works, maybe improve it even more.
Were Theobald's one of the first to have that, or was there someone before them to have it?
Richardson's were one of the first ones to have it.
So they do have it. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that air ride had kind of came into the mini rod side of things.
Yeah, we feel like it I don't know if it's a performance enhancer, but I think makes it a safer tractor. It doesn't crash down as bad. I think that's what we like about it. We've put a big skid pan underneath of them, and so they don't dig in. And we just feel like it's a little bit of a safer. As a business owner, I look at it from a kind of a liability thing, and we're trying to build them as safe as what we can.
Yeah. So of all the rules that NCPA has passed as far as safety for this coming year, has that kind of made you guys go back to the drawing board in some of your designs?
No, because a lot of what they put in, we were already doing. So we changed our skid pan on the front a little bit, but most of everything they put in, we have already been doing it. We last year we had to change a tube in our roll cage. They wanted that changed a little bit, but no, 90% of it we were already there.
Okay.
I'd rather stay ahead of it than have it first than not have it and then put it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which makes sense.
So now, do the mini Stomps run two hitches? Do they?
No, they just run the single. Yeah.
Yeah. So how many do you guys have to run on yours? Do you guys run the one?
It just depends where you go. Like we go to Bowling Green and down to Farm Show, they want you to plug that bottom hole, and then the rest of the year we don't have to plug it. So it kind of just depends. But I leave a plug in mine most of the time. But no, I don't know that I've ever hooked to a sled where they've actually hooked a chain in that bottom hole. So yeah. I know that used to be a big deal, but I don't believe I've ever hooked to a two chain sled.
Yeah, so down here in the Mid-South, which it may have to do with specifically the PPL sanction, we run two chains. Mm-hmm. We have the regular chain, then we have our safety chain in that bottom hitch.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea. Scott Tedder, his hitch got jerked out over Bowling Green last year, and I would have probably kept it hooked to the sled, but hey, it stopped pretty quick, so it wasn't.
Yeah, it did. I was down there shooting pictures for that class. Actually, the ones that I used for the show and everything, promoting it, that was one that I took there at Bowling Green, and whenever he came unhooked, he went zooming by me.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that something like that happened. I had not seen that in person.
I know it surprised me too, and I'm sure it surprised Scott. So,
Obviously, it's like I'm going faster than I should be. This shouldn't be happening.
yeah.
Like, there's a little something missing.
It was nice to see it shut it off as quick as it did, though. It didn't go.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So now, do you guys really have to? I'm not as familiar with the safety features on y'all's motors as we are. So I know we have the guillotine on ours to shut ours off. Oh,
Oh, we're still here.
you're back.
No, we just have a kill switch, kills the mags, kills the motors.
Okay.
No, there's like for adding engines, there's like a spider web or a multiple connections on the back where it's got one single hook, right, and it pulls all of them at once.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So in my case, I have like 3 little switches side by side, and then I just made a plastic piece to go in them that ties them all together to one common ring.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I've seen it as like you said, 3 in line. Some of them have 5 in like a square type shape.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Now that just kills the spark to every motor.
Yeah. Yeah. Just grounds out the mag and kills the motor. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: how much of the mini rod? I don't know if it's necessarily technology is the right term for it, but with them sitting further forward, has that kind of affected your idea for how you designed your modified chassis? Because I mean, I noticed you kind of sit a little lower than I've seen before.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nothing crazy.
Yeah, it kind of started with Brett Berg. We built several chassis for Brett, and Brett kind of started that sitting up there like that. Like Craig Corzine's tractor is one of Brett's old tractors, and so when I seen Craig's tractor when he put together with 3 and everything, I really liked how that looked. So basically, me and Craig have the same tractor, except Craig's is a tube chassis tractor, and mine's a wedge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how much that of the designs kind of floated back and forth between the two classes.
Yeah. I think one time I got back there and stood on the rear end housing, and then I went around setting a seat, and I think it moved maybe 35, 40 pounds forward. But what I like about it is you can reach up there and turn the steering wheel standing on the ground, or somebody can help you with your belts or something like that, sitting down there low up front like that. So that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, we've obviously seen Joe Etter's design. I mean, he's really, really low. I think that was one of the first things that I noticed whenever I first laid eyes on this edition of the tractor of his.
Yeah, Brad worked that over last winter, and that's when Joe moved forward and changed the drive line around in a little bit and changed the motor mounts and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's real similar to mine is. Yeah.
I gotcha. We have a question actually in from one of our viewers, Mr. Russell Dostal, one of our longtime watchers. He said, Les, what is your favorite part of pulling, the competition, the friends you make, or the places you travel to?
I think it's the guys that collect T-shirts. I think that's the big thing. You know Russell, he's a big T-shirt collector. So yeah, I think I probably number one thing is just the friends you make in pulling and the people you meet at the pulls and stuff. I think that's probably number one. My wife's sitting here watching our show, and she grew up in. She's a city girl, she didn't know anything about pulling stuff, and that's what she really enjoys about it. She enjoys the friends she's made in it, and we enjoy going up. Like for instance, we like going to Hutchinson because now we've met people up there, and we get up there the next year and they come over, and it's like seeing old friends, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the fun things that I know I really look forward to every year. Going to these pulls like Shipshawana, going to Farm Show, obviously, it's just because it seems like that's where everybody is for at least a few days. So everybody can kind of catch up and see each other because, I mean, like me and Wyatt, I mean, he lives in Iowa, I live in Kentucky. Yeah. So, I mean, we don't see each other a ton unless we're at the same hook together with our tractors or something or doing this.
Right. So. Right. And I think what's nice about tractor pulling, I tell a lot of people this, and I'm only speaking for myself and the mods, but everybody gets along so well. It's not cutthroat competition, and you don't want to beat anybody that can't get down the track. You want everybody to make it down the track, and you want to win fair and square and good competition. I think that's one of the nicest thing pulling has going for it, is as well as everybody gets along and tries to help one another.
Yeah, I think that's across the board. I mean, speaking from Super Farm, but also what we've heard in every class, modified diesel super for one of them, they have to help each other to at least make it to the next hook.
Yeah.
It seems to be a common theme, and that's what we tell anybody that's never been to one. It's like, what are the people like? It's like when you go to a pull and you keep going, that the relationships you build there will last you longer than anybody you've known in your small town.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew a lot of these guys before I ever started pulling. So it's fun to go and be around them, and on the weekends, and really get to know them. So a lot of good guys in pulling.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Case in point, we'll next weekend, Broadbent's going to be full of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can hardly wait.
I'm
glad it's not going to be snowing down there.
Yeah, that's it. I'm really excited for that. I'm ready to see everybody in the same building at once again.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to that lineup we mentioned earlier. And I had a question. I didn't know if you could let's answer Aunt Lindsay's first.
Lindsay, what's your favorite pull/event?
Oh, wow. There's so many of them. That drive down to Benson last year, that was a heck of a drive. But when we got down there, that was a really neat place. I enjoyed Benson. We enjoy Hutchinson. It's a heck of a drive for us too. But it's hard to beat Bowling Green. So if you say, what's your favorite pull outside of Bowling Green, that would probably be tough. But yeah, it's hard to beat Bowling Green.
That's a fair assessment. But no, I was just going to the lineup, and of course, you got a couple customers in this class you're competing in. Do you know how many chassis are in this class specifically?
See, 11 of them there. I'm going to say 9 of them.
9 of them?
Oh,
really?
Wow.
See, we got Bollinger, yes.
Yeah.
Craig, obviously. Then you. Cameron Neves.
Yeah.
Are both Tommy and Dylan's?
Yeah.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Sullivan, Theobald. Voorhees is correct.
Yeah.
Bill Leichner, and then Ricky Rose.
Yeah, that's the only 2 it's not.
Wow.
And Ricky, we built a lot of parts for Ricky too. So he's, I got to consider him a good customer too, even though he's not running one of our chassis. We've been working on him though.
Wow.
You would think with the way his is designed, with where he sits and everything, you would think it would be part of yours.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I think that was a Brett Berg thing. Brett had a tractor like that at one time. I think that's kind of a Brett thing back in the day. And yeah, we're working on him. We're trying to convert him. Hope he's listening tonight. He needs to come up. He needs to come over to the good side. So
I would love to know if he is or isn't.
Oh.
I keep telling him, quit putting that motor on. He just needs 2 tractors. Be a lot easier.
He had a Superstock diesel at one point. I think Jeff ran it, didn't he?
Yeah, it was called Slingshot.
Yeah, Slingshot.
Yeah. Great guys, man. They're a lot of fun.
That is quite a class, though, that you guys have a lot of hands in. I mean, at least time spent building these.
Yeah,
that's incredible, really.
I give all the credit to Brad and the guys out there in the motorsports shop. They do a heck of a job on them.
Yeah. How do you manage having your hands in so many things, though?
I don't know. You just, on top of everything else, I farm 800 acres.
Do you really?
Yeah, me and my son.
Just straight row crop?
Yeah, just row crop, corn, soybeans, So, I don't know. It just, you learn to think ahead, I think. I used to work for a guy, and I was you guys' age, and I'd go to work every day, and he'd say, you got to learn to think ahead. You got to learn to think ahead. So, I don't know. I think he got that beat into me, and I'm always trying to be ahead of the game, I guess.
Yeah, that's all. I don't know if I could do it. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I must enjoy the challenge. My wife wonders sometimes why I take on what I do. So,
yeah, takes a great crew behind you, though.
What'd you say?
I said it takes a great crew behind you to be able to do it.
Yeah. Brad and the guys at the shop help me a lot, and then my buddy Farron, he helps me a lot. And my son, he's got 2 young kids at home, so he helps me what he can. He's a busy guy, and my daughter, she just graduated as a nurse practitioner, so she's got a little better schedule. So she's going to go with me more, and she's actually going to ride down to Louisville with me Tuesday, and so I'm excited about having her go with me. And so they all enjoy it, and I'm glad, I'm grateful for that.
Well, I say if somebody doesn't enjoy pulling, I mean, you do and you don't. But for most, I'll be like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, like we don't understand that part of it.
Yeah, my slogan, I tell a lot of people they don't know something about it. I always say it's the biggest sport you never heard of. That's what I always tell everybody.
It really is. But I mean,
yeah, the amount of money that's spent on it and stuff, people have no idea, how big the sport really is. I'll tell you what, though, you drive down next Wednesday to Louisville, you'll know how big it is, because that place will be swarming. So you just pull in there and see all the haulers. That's impressive itself.
Yeah. So I want to take you back to that point that you just made. It's the biggest sport you've never heard of. What are some things that you, as a driver, think we could do to grow this sport to be bigger than it is already?
Well, I think you two
get
guys
that appeal.
Yeah, I think you two guys got the idea right here. I mean, Facebook is a great tool, and you guys get out there and talk about it, and maybe catch people that maybe have been to one pull and don't know much about it, and they watch you guys' show and learn more about it. So I think just need to get the word out more. I think a national sponsor like Case does for the NTPA, I think if we could land some more of those, that would help. Maybe try to bring over some people from drag racing or circle track racing or something, and I think when they see what it's all about, they're impressed,
Yeah, so I mean that was actually one of our ideas whenever we first created this. Was we wanted to cover pulling, obviously, because I mean pulling's our bread and butter. I mean, we've been around our entire lives, like we've talked about before the show started. But we also wanted to dig into your other two markets that, in our opinion, are the biggest ones that would cross over to us. I mean, that's obviously the dirt racing side and the drag racing side. So, I mean, what you said, that's kind of what our goal's been.
Right.
And it seems to be working okay, but it's going to take a little more extra to get those guys to come on over and really jump into our sport and get the eyes on ours.
And I think another problem maybe tractor pulling has, and I think drag racing has it to an extent too, is it doesn't transfer to TV very well. If we could figure out how to make that smell of smoke or that sound come over the TV, like drag racing, watch drag racing and you don't feel that thrust of a top field racer against your chest like you do if you go to a drag race. And if we could figure out how to transfer that onto the TV screen better, I think it would help the sport a lot. But right now you watch it, you don't get that sensation that
you don't hear it either much.
Yeah.
And that's what I've told Shane here too, is like he hasn't been to something like you just said, Top Fuel drag racing. It's Top Fuel, like it's Top Fuel and Unlimited for drag racing and pulling. It's something you have to experience.
Yes.
There's no amount of words that you can speak that'll ever be able to explain what you can feel.
Yeah. An unlimited tractor, let's say like Brad Benedict's or Criswell's with 4 screw motors on it at Bowling Green. I mean, that's an unbelievable sound and feeling. Them guys go down there and burn it in. So it's but all those unlimited tractors are awesome. In their own right. So
yeah, I mean that was one of the things that kind of launched us to where we are now, and I know that we're still very small compared to some. But one of the things that really caught people's attention from us was whenever we posted a video, it was Billy Beers' War Wagon from Chapel Hill. I went back and looked at that video today just to make sure like the number was right. But one of the things that we really wanted to appeal with was like, especially with y'all's class, these guys are running 3, 4, and 5 of those one motors that you guys are running, and they're all run simultaneously at one time and holding together pretty well.
Right.
And that seems to be a big appeal to some of them.
Right. And the other thing is we're running 11, 14, 15 seconds, where a drag racer is just running 3 and 4 seconds. So it's really, it is unbelievable that those motors will stay together, and they're 3, 4, 5 of them on there at a time, and they stay together and make a run like that for
and
that much longer.
We had this is back a couple months now. We had Spencer Hyde on. Spencer Hyde is the reigning World Series of Pro Mod champion. Now, a Pro Mod in a quarter mile will run 5.5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
with a screw blown Hemi. That's one of them. Now you guys are running 3 of
Right.
a
3 and 4.
3 or 4,
Yeah.
say unlimited class or modified class for 3 times as long.
Yeah. Right.
It appeals to them too, because it's like if they're running a similar engine power plant,
Right.
but you guys are doing it simultaneously and multiplying it. That's what appeals to them. It's like, what are they doing that we can try to do, or it's cool to us because they don't know how it works. And
Right.
that's like Shane said before, that's what we're trying to do, is like them come over here and some of us that go over there, like pulling to drag racing to see what they do to improve us.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is also a discussion we've kind of had behind the scenes with us as far as videographers and all that go with putting things out there on the internet to appeal to the sponsors. Is that I know that in some of these drag racing events, the videographers have to tag the sponsors of the bodies, but we need to figure out how to get those here, as you were talking about earlier.
Right. Right. Yeah, that would be really neat.
Yeah, and I think applying that to something like drag racing, like this weekend alone, the pro superstar shootout, you got major companies, like distillery companies, you've got Mac Tools, such and that. If you can broaden their perspective and come to our side and see what applies here too,
Right.
that's also where this crossover needs to work.
Right. Right. And you mentioned that about the tool manufacturers. There's a lot of guys out there farming or got trucking companies and stuff like that. They use a lot of tools. So if we could get them interested in this sport and get them over there, that's one thing that's always surprised me, that we don't see a Snap-on or a Matco or something like that in this sport.
You would think Snap-on or Mac Tools would be looking at a modifier like, hey, they could use some of ours.
Yeah, exactly.
You would think their pocketbooks be like, yep, goal right there.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's also another part of it is my brother and I were having this discussion this week, is kind of the way that people are able to relate back to their everyday lives with our sport. Drag racing is able to do that because everybody has that car, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of the things with the trucks, the cars, the mods. I mean, everybody can kind of associate with that. And the demographic that we really appeal to based off where we are is kind of that farming graphic. And there's only 2% of America that's farmers.
Right.
So the more we open it up, I think the better off we're going to be.
Right. And convince the general public that it's not just a farming sport,
Exactly. I mean,
so.
You guys are, I don't know how to say it right without making somebody mad, but you guys are cooler to me than the single engine guys on the drag racing side.
Yeah. And, I don't know, maybe when a drag race is on TV, or, when you're watching a NASCAR, you'll see that car go around there all day with, Snap-on tools on the side of it or something. Drag racing, they come out there and they do a big smoky burnout and they watch them back in, and you can read all that on the car. And then it seems like when we put a tractor pull on, they show them, we're starting it up, and the next thing we're leaving the line. So I feel like that's something that needs to maybe change or something, so we can get that sponsor's name out there more and get a little more on mainstream TV or deals like what you guys got going on, where a guy could stream it and watch a tractor pull.
Yeah, that's certainly one of our goals. I have a couple of questions or just comments as a whole here. Robert Danner, he says, have you built any component chassis for diesel classes?
Not really. We built a pro stock tractor for a customer up north, and I don't know what whatever became of it. So no, we would like to get into that, but we just never have.
No, I haven't heard about this one.
Yeah, it's been a long time ago. So.
I'm curious who it is.
Yeah. North as in Michigan, or as in north of the border?
No, it was in northern Indiana. So, but I don't know if they'd ever component that light pro stock class. That would be something I would like to build one of those for somebody.
PPL has. I don't know if NCPA has though.
No, the NTPA has not yet. So.
And the thing is, it's a couple years of witnessing what will happen first before they can determine what will happen.
Yeah.
So no, we're always open to it, but we're staying pretty busy the way we are. So we don't need to kick the hornet's nest in too much, So we've got plenty to do right now. So
that's always a good problem. It's a problem, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and when me and Brad started this, we didn't we've always wanted to be. We can tell somebody, well, we're going to have your tractor done on a date, and we've always tried to meet that. We don't want to be that company that, well, they said they'd have it done in July, and now it's December. So
Yeah.
we're kind of careful about how much we take on.
Yeah. Here is another comment from Lindsay. She said, "I think promoting more in the towns that the event is in is huge. Get some local entertainment to play before or after a pool. Gear it towards the families. Also, you young guys try to recruit more your age so the sport will continue to grow for years to come." And I agree with that on the entertainment side, too. I mean,
yeah, I do too.
I've kind of been looking at going to, just to peel back the curtain here, the next 3 or 4 years, maybe trying to go over to Europe to Mid-Day's Power Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, all I see is like, how much more of a party it is. They still have the pool, and they're like, hey, the pool's here, but hey, we've also got this going on after or before.
Yeah.
I think that's a true good aspect.
They built a lot of excitement over there between the hooks and stuff, and playing music, and it's quite a show.
I really hope I get to see it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you ask, the entertainment aspect over there is the biggest thing for them. They've taken the polling aspect and engineering when it comes to the vehicles from us. That's where we need to start, is the entertainment aspect. Take it from them, because what it seems to do for them, they're packing crowds and they're keeping crowds.
Yeah,
it's like hours of a time. And we've had this discussion with Charles too, is that it seems like their attention span's longer than ours. Whenever people want to go to these events now, they kind of want to be done in 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Right. But over there, I mean, Mid-Day's Power Weekend's like 7 hours in a session.
And then a concert.
I might be wrong. Isn't that just a single track thing too?
No, it's triple. They've got 3.
It's triple. Wow.
It's triple tracks.
Yeah. Wow.
So one of the few triple tracks I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have a triple track, and at the very end of the sand pile, and behind that, you have a big old concert type speaker stage.
Wow.
It's so cool.
And then that's the cool thing too for the audience that comes too. They get to watch them go to the end. They see what's up on the screen there. They hear the music. But then that driver comes back around as they're lifting up, and they tow them across the track to come right back in front of that crowd. And they kind of feel a connection to the driver. The driver is looking at those people.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, need to go back to doing more interviews. They allow pullers to talk about their sponsors. Yeah, they said we also need personal puller sponsor interviews that can air while nothing is going down the track. See, now that just seems like it's harder to do now because the pace is picking up so much more and more and more.
Yeah. I remember back, in the 80s, they used to do that. They would make a run and pull the guy off the track, and they would interview him right there at the end of the track. And I've always wondered why they quit doing that, because that was usually a lot of great interviews,
Yeah.
Your characters that are in the sport, like a Billy Beers, man, I think that'd be crazy, what Billy's got to say at the end of the run. So, yeah, I think that'd be something you need to get back to.
Yeah. Mr. Corporal, we want to take a pause for just a second because there was another part to our show that we kind of attached whenever we came out with this interview, and it was a major announcement that was coming from us.
Well, that also has to do with a little bit of a sponsor-ish.
Yeah, kind of, but we're here to announce that we are finally going to be launching into the actual podcasting platforms, so you guys are no longer going to have to go into just Facebook and YouTube to find our stuff. You're going to be able to find on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, all sorts of things like that, all those major platforms. So we finally got the deal done, and we've been kind of busy behind the scenes whenever we had the week off because we go every other Wednesday. We've got a whole series leading into the National Farm Machinery Show, breaking down session by session, driver by driver, of what's going on in each of those sessions. Obviously, we can't do a Saturday final session, but it will be going up starting on Monday. Okay. That series will roll out, and hopefully everything works. If it doesn't, don't yell at me. We will fix it at some point. But I know for sure Spotify works and Pandora and all those work. The only one I'm having trouble with is Apple Podcasts, but
that's we also have some stuff going on in person in Louisville too. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, we do.
That's exciting.
We do.
You can roll it out now if you want to. I mean,
I'm drawing a blank for some reason.
Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, well, I haven't heard anything about that yet.
Anyway,
I'm still waiting.
Let's go on. Adam Wilson comes in here. He says, I think Power Weekend should be more compared to like Bowling Green. It would be hard to create that level of atmosphere on a weekly basis. On any given weekend, there's tons of polls. Part of it boils down to stretching resources too far, which very true. Something that has to do with Europe too. They don't poll on a weekly basis like we do.
Yeah.
No.
It's spread over a couple weeks, almost to a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they can build it up over time.
Yeah. But I think the bigger events, it would be neat if they could do those interviews and, kind of do some of the things we're talking about here. I think that would be really cool, And I think it would be something that they'd have to tread into and see what works and what doesn't work. Maybe not all things would work, so.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to a couple of them over there about that. And I mean, they say that us going every weekend, like we don't have hardly much time to fix anything that's broken. So that kind of hurts us to a degree with our numbers, they think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, each event has its own thing. So I think each event can figure out how they'd want to handle it and how much they would want to do at each one, because it's not like the same guys are putting on every pull. You've got your track officials and your sled, but all your behind the scene people could figure a lot of this stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, guys, any questions for Mr. Corporal, make sure to get them in. We're kind of winding down on time. It's already been 45 minutes, but the 45 minutes have absolutely flown by. This has been so much fun. But Mr. Corporal, what's kind of something else that you're looking forward to at the Farm Machinery Show outside of your own class? And once you get finished, kind of sitting back and enjoying, or are you going back home?
I'll probably stay down there. Look for, got a lot of pro stock tractors down there. So it's fun to go Thursday and Friday night and just watch the polls and not have to be responsible for anything on my own. So look forward to doing that, and a lot of good friends. And I enjoy walking around the farm show. So probably do some of that during the day. And hopefully I got a little bit of wrenching to do. So I got to pull again Saturday night. That's what I'm hoping for. So,
normal wrenching, not extra wrenching.
Yeah, we don't need any of that extra stuff.
But a little extra, be like, oh God, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I don't want to put a motor on or anything like that. I'd probably just come back home and do that. So,
how long does it take you to switch out a motor if you have one go down, assuming that you pack an extra with you or something?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never had to actually do it at a pull yet. Knock on wood. When we go from 2 to 3 motors, it only takes us about 25 minutes to put it on or take it off.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But to swap out one of the front ones, if I had some help, probably an hour or so. So it's not real bad.
How quick can you guys have it torn down? Because I know some of the drag racing guys, they can have that thing tore down in
pretty quick.
Time.
Quick if you have to. At Rockwell last year, we had to pull light modified first class, and then they pulled pro stock. And while they was pulling pro stock, we went back, put the third motor on, and come back and pull modified all in the same session. So I think we're going to get that challenge a few more times this year.
Yeah, because Toma's now added light modified too.
Yeah, I think they're going to double us up there too. So yeah.
Any possibility we see a fourth motor come along at some point?
No, I'm sitting in line with my wife over here, so I'm not going to answer that question.
She's like, no, go the other direction.
I'm getting a lot of
She's like, go down to 2 or 1.
No, I'm pretty happy. I really enjoy the 2 classes. They're kind of their own animals, each class. So I enjoy that. And I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So probably one of our last questions, and I know we've taken up a lot of your time, but I'm going to steal a question from one of our good friends, Ryan Rusink. If you had to choose a vehicle to take anywhere and drive it for a weekend, it could be any vehicle, past or present.
Oh,
who you taking?
Oh boy, that's a good one. I think the 6 and 7 motor tractors of the Benner brothers back in the day, I think that would be pretty cool. Sit there, you got 3 motors on each side.
Yeah,
you got 6 of them in front of me. I think that'd be pretty cool. But me and Billy are good friends. We built Billy's tractor, and I razz Billy all the time about letting me drive that thing of his. I think it's pretty cool too, because it reminds me a lot of the the old banner tractors, with the 5 motors on it and stuff. So
Yeah.
that would probably be my past and present right now is what I'd like to drive.
How do you feel about a certain guy that came from the Inland business now in the modified, Bill Voorhees, coming down?
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I'm we've built several tractors for Bill, so I'm excited to have him back in my class. And once again, another one of those things. Never thought I'd pull against Bill Voorhees. So this is going to be pretty interesting summer. I'm excited. We're good friends, so I'm sure we'll work together and go out there and try to tackle him. So yeah, I'm excited to have Bill.
Now he's running a triple Noonan setup. You don't have Noonans, do you?
No, I'm running an MBR right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be exciting having him in the class.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's always fun to see guys
sure.
like that come back.
Yeah, that was one of the secrets. I think people were like, "What is happening here? Is this true?"
Yeah. I mean, why you remember whenever we were doing our lists, trying to figure out who was in, who was out, and people were actively texting us like, "Hey, dude, we're in. Mark us off. We're in."
Yeah.
So that was a name I don't think any of us were kind of really expecting. Kind of like, oh wait, okay.
Well, that tractor was actually Bill's black American Thunder tractor, and when Bill quit, he sold it to the Long brothers. Keith Long had that tractor, and then when Long decided to quit, it went back to RJ, and then Bill bought it from RJ. So really, he's got his tractor back. Now, I don't know if you remember, that tractor was in a bad wreck down at Louisville several years back, and it tore it up pretty good. So it's the same tractor, but it's not. It's got a different set of frame rails under it and stuff like that. But yeah, Keith broke a planetary and wrecked it pretty hard, and it bent it up some. It hurt the tractor pretty bad. So that's kind of some of the bad stuff that can happen down there.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I can't quite remember. I'm going to say it was maybe 17 or 18, somewhere back in there.
That might have been before they had it on live stream, honestly.
Yeah.
That might be right. Don't.
Yeah. That's a good track down there. They got it. They know what they're doing, and it's sticky, and it takes a lot of weight to stop them. And like I said, with a mod, you got a hefty load right from the start down there. So
that is for sure. They load the wagon. That's for dang sure.
Yeah.
What is different about a Noonan engine over the Hemis?
Well, Noonan is just another Hemi manufacturer, so it's a Hemi. It's just a different style of Hemi, a little different head configuration, but it's pretty much the same motor, just a different style head. And they make a 4.9 Noonan, which is like what Richardson runs, and then they built a 4.8 Noonan, which is what Bill has. And it's just a Noonan head on a Brad Anderson block.
Okay.
So it'd be like a Benny head or a Brad Anderson head, or it's just a different head manufacturer. But they are a very, very good motor. Very good motor.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're getting down to it. Les, what are your plans for the 24 season after we're done with Louisville?
We're going to come home. We're going to change a few things around on the tractor to get ready for next year. Try to make it a little better. Me and Shane talked before the show started. We had a heck of a year in a light mod, but we want to get better in the big mod class. That's kind of my long-term goal. So we're going to do some things, try to make the tractor a little better in the 3 motor class. And but we're gonna run both classes again this year and try to defend our light championship and try to do a little better in the heavy mod.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So the last question I wanted to ask you, especially coming from 2 of us younger guys, if you had to give a younger generation advice on how to get into this sport and what to do to get into this sport, what would you tell them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I told you, I'm 59 years old, and till I was 55 years old, I probably thought I'd never do this, So I'd say first thing is, get a good education, get a good job, and build something, and just keep working towards it. I mean, I started out young guy pulling garden tractors and moved up to single engine and got up to where I am now. So just set a goal to, keep moving forward in life and keep building something better if you can, and make good decisions with your money, and, get a good job, get a good education so you can get a good job, and just nothing's going to happen overnight. I wasn't pulling Grand National mod when I was in my 30s, so it sometimes takes a lifetime to get there. And if you look, a lot of your guys in the mod and in the unlimited class are guys my age, because worked hard their whole life to get to where they're at. So I think just keep your head up, don't get discouraged, and you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely great advice. For me, Mr. Corporal, we cannot say thank you enough. If you want to hang around after we shut down everything, you certainly can. But
Okay.
you also
Appreciate you
love
guys.
Mr. Corporal for jumping on tonight. He's been super, super busy. I think you told us that you think you're booked up for 24 on chassis.
Yeah. But give us a holler if you want to get something built. I mean, we're not turning anything away, so we'll sure get you on the list anyhow.
Most of it mods, most of it minis. Can you get
Minis are really popular right now, but I think we built 2 or 3 trucks already this year. We built a big mod. We built several mini rods. We're knee deep in the mini rods right now. So, but yeah, if you're looking for something like that, give us a call. Call me or Brad, and we can quote a job for you so you know what you'll have in it before we get started. And we try to pride ourselves in staying close to what we quote you. So, price we give you, we'll be right there unless you want little changes made or whatnot. But we'll quote you what it'll be. You'll know what you're getting before you get started, and we'll stay to that.
Yeah. Well, y'all, that's going to do it for episode number 15 of the Motorsports Almanac. This time next week, man, we will be in Freedom Hall. Me and Wyatt. Well, I know I'll be there. Wyatt, you're not going to go till pretty short stint before the show starts if you're going to be there for sure. But I know me and JP will be there. We will have decals with us. Again, I didn't run out at Murfreesboro, so I've got them ready to go, and I'll be handing those out. If you guys come find us, we'll be there. Just come find us, say hi. We love interacting with you guys. I've had a few at Murfreesboro like, oh, hey, this is really cool what you guys have got going and stuff. So, I mean, that means a lot. And thank you to every single one of y'all that supported us up to this point. We can't wait to see what the future holds for us.
Yeah. Just a heads up for everybody. Charles, Roos, and the gang tomorrow night will be live on our platform. We will not be on, but they'll have the Grandview Gangsters, the Masterson gang on. So everybody watching tonight, watch their show tomorrow night because they're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about.
I can't imagine some of the stories we're going to get tomorrow night.
I can't either. But other than that, watch out on the Facebook page. We're going to have more stuff to share. I will be doing that on the NHRA side as the Pro Superstar Shootout is happening this weekend in Bradenton, Florida. I'll keep up on that as much as I can. Other than that, let's thank you, Les. And you got any other sponsors or people you need to plug before we cut this?
No, I'm good buddies with Doug Theobald. I appreciate his help. He helps me a lot. Appreciate the guys back to the shop. They give me a lot of help. My buddy Farron, he helps me, and my lovely wife sitting here behind me. I couldn't do it without her. She's a big part of the team too.
She's not still holding the butcher knife, is she?
Glad my son and daughter get to go with me. So no, life's good right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Seeing you guys down there next week.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll definitely come find you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Everybody, we will see y'all later. See you guys next week.